Hello my most amazing artists, and welcome to our mini cupcake bowl project. Remember, this is made from Model Magic and mine has had enough time to dry now, so I think we should take these to the next level, and the way we're going to do that is we're actually going to paint them, because I've noticed some of our colors are maybe not as bright as you want them to be. So I thought this would be a really good option if you wanted to add some more details to your little bowl. And after we paint our cupcake, we have to let that watercolor paint dry, because we're going to use watercolors. We have to let that dry, and then we're going to paint on Mod Podge, which is kind of like a glue, but it's going to seal our paint in, seal those colors in, and so that they don't fade later on, and to keep our functional work of art functioning. Because if you use it like this is still very exposed. You can still feel that Model Magic, and it will have more of a tendency, or it would be more likely for this to fall apart. But if we seal it with Mod Podge, then it will last a lot longer. Alright, but before we use the Mod Podge, we are going to paint it, and we are going to use watercolors like I said. So you just open up your watercolor, and you guys can use whatever colors you want to. I'm just going to open up my water cup. You're going to get a smaller watercolor paintbrush today because this is a small surface. You're not going to be able to do like crazy details on it, but it's just going to add another dimension or layer to our cupcakes to make them a little bit more interesting. So with watercolors, we have to grab some water with our paintbrush and wake these colors up, because right now they're very dry, so we have to keep adding water to them to get them going. So I want to stick with the same color scheme that I did with my cupcake, with the blue bottom and the pink icing with the purplish and yellow sprinkles on there. I'm just going to grab some blue and I'm going to start painting it onto the bottom of my cupcake. And what this does is it makes our colors a lot brighter, a lot more vibrant, and more fun. And since this is a three-dimensional object, we are going to have to hold it in an area that has no paint while this side dries, because you don't want to put any fingerprints on the other side. So just be mindful of that. You don't even have to pick it up. You can actually just paint it right on the plate. But I kind of like holding mine. I just have to be super careful when I do this. And I went ahead and I painted the bottom of my bowl, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I'm just trying to make sure my color is spread across evenly. So I'm not grabbing any more color. I'm just going back into the color I've already placed and kind of blending it out, spreading it out so that it's nice and even all the way across. I haven't painted this side fully yet, but I need to let this part dry first, so I'm just going to hold it and maybe blow on it to help those watercolors dry, because I don't want to set this down on the bottom where my paint is still wet, because that's going to mess it up. So I'm just going to let this dry before moving on to this side. Alright, it doesn't have to be fully dried, we just want it dried a little bit. I'm going to put it back down, grab some more water, grab some more paint, and actually I can pull it off to the side a little bit and hold it in place so that I can paint this side as well. Painting something three-dimensional is a lot different than painting something two-dimensional. We have many sides to work with. When it's a 2D work of art, then we just have the front to work with. You could do the front and the back, but you're only going to see one or the other at once. With a sculpture here, you can walk around and see all different angles. Like right now you can see the top, so I'm making sure that I'm being nice and neat on the top, on the bottom, on the sides, because with a sculpture you can see all of that. Now for the inside of my cupcake, I think I want to do purple actually, so I'm just going to move down and wake my purple paint up, and then I'm going to start painting it right on the inside. And I'm starting at the bottom and I'm kind of dragging upwards, meeting with that blue up at the top. And my bowl is wanting to move around while I'm doing this, but I'm just going nice and slow, being careful not to tip it over. or anything like that. I don't want to hold it now because all my sides are painted. So I'm going to keep it on my paper plate because I don't want to mess up those sides. So I just finished painting the bottom of my cupcake, and I'm going to use my paintbrush actually to just kind of move it off to the side for me there. And I know I want to add more details to this in just a minute, but I have to let that first layer dry before I can add anything else. My purple keeps wanting to fall towards the bottom, so I'm just taking my paintbrush and dragging it upwards to help it out a little bit. And if you have too much water on your paintbrush, you can actually just wipe it off on your messy mat. Alright, so I'm just grabbing that water, wiping it away. Alright, time to move on to the top of my cupcake, and that's going to be a little bit more tricky because we have these details on here already. So I need to make sure that my paintbrush is nice and clean before I get a new color. I'm going to do the icing first, and for that I'm actually going to mix a new color. So I'm going to take some red out, and I'm just going to put it on my plate here, and then I'm going to take some orange. Because if I paint the icing red and the cherry red, they're going to kind of blend together a little bit. So let's see what happens when I mix red and orange on my plate over here. I'm just waking both of those up with some water and adding it off to the side here. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to use that. And with watercolor, the more water that you add, the lighter your color will be. But the more paint that you have, the darker your color will be. So I'm going to add some more water to this to make it a little bit lighter. And then I'll be ready to paint it onto my icing. Okay, you need to be super careful with this part because we have to paint around those sprinkles, okay? Try your best not to get this color, your icing color, onto your sprinkles if you have those, or any other details that you have on the top of your cupcake. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint this part of my cupcake, and I'll be right back. There is my icing all nice and painted, but I still need to be super duper careful with this so I don't mess up that beautiful paint job I just did. Now I'm gonna paint my sprinkles, and I'm using yellow, and I can tell that my yellow is a little bit dirty. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna take some water and wipe off that dirty part and just wipe it on my messy mat because I want this yellow to be as bright as possible, and right now it looks a little bit dirty. So I'm just going to clean that off with my water, and once you get that first dirty layer off, then you'll have a beautiful yellow underneath, and that goes for any color that you use. So I just have a little bit of yellow, and my cherry's not painted yet, so I'm just going to hold it by the cherry and then paint that yellow onto my yellow sprinkles, and it makes them stand out a lot more. Beautiful. Now I need to paint my purple sprinkles. And if you do make a mistake, you can actually just use your finger, wipe it off a little bit, or clean your paintbrush off and go back in with the color and just go over that mistake. Because I accidentally got some purple into my icing, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to take my icing color and cover it right up. Alright, now I'm ready to paint my cherry, and I'm just going to use red and green for that. Oops, I just grabbed orange on accident. Let me clean my paintbrush and grab some red. There we go. And I'm not even going to touch it with my fingers because it's looking a little bit messy, so I'm just going to keep it on the paper plate and start painting it onto my cherry. I'm pretty happy with the way my cupcake top is looking so far, so I'm just going to feel over here and see if this is dry yet, and it's not dry. So if you want to add any other details, like maybe you want to add stripes to the bottom of your cupcake, that's what I had in mind anyways. We have to let this dry 100% before we add any more details. It's pretty dry enough. You can tell if you tap it, and if nothing comes off of your finger, then it's good to go. So I just want to take a little bit of purple, and I want to do some like purple stripes. Just like that. You don't have to do this. but it's a nice little detail. All right, here is mine. It's probably hard for you to see because I can't pick it up to show you right now, but our colors look a lot more vibrant, a lot more interesting, and I can actually tell these are sprinkles and not just little pieces of icing, which is kind of what they looked like before. So I'm much happier with this. I'm super happy that I added more color to make my colors darker, more vibrant, and I was able to do a little bit more detail on my bottom part of my cupcake because I thought that was looking a little bit plain. So I'm super happy that I added some stripes to that. And our last step is to actually seal this with Mod Podge, which I talked a little bit about earlier, but we cannot seal it until this paint is 100% dry. Mine is definitely not ready yet. I can still see it's very shiny. You'll know it's dry whenever it looks kind of matte. There's no shine to it anymore. And then you'll be ready to paint on your Mod Podge. But I don't think these are going to be dry in one class period, so we're just going to paint them one day, and then on our next video I'm going to show you how to apply your Mod Podge. Alright, I hope you guys have a lot of fun painting your cupcake today. I can't wait to see how yours turn out. I know they're going to be amazing because you guys are amazing. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!